Okay, let's see here. When Trout, the theater manager, to Tin Horn, said they didn't want any Tin Horn fun, the dying children sauntered off, their feet sticking to the planet, coming unstuck, then sticking again. They disappeared around the corner. Trout, the eyes and ears of the creator of the universe, sneezed. God bless you, said the manager. This was fully automatic response by many Americans. Had to hearing a person sneeze. Thank you, said Trout. Thus a temporary friendship was formed. Trout said that he hoped to get safely to a cheap hotel. The manager said that he hoped to get to the subway station on Times Square. So they walked together, encouraged by the echoes of their footsteps from the building vacates. The manager told Trout a little about what the planet looked like to him. It was a place where he had a wife and 2 kids, he said. They didn't know he ran a theater which showed blue movies. They thought he was doing consulting work as an engineer so late at night. He said that the planet didn't have much use for engineers his age anymore. It had adored them once. Hard times, said Trout. The manager told of being in on the development of the miraculous insulating material which had been used to send rocket ships to the moon. This was, in fact, the same material which gave the aluminum siding of Dwayne Hooper's dream house in Midland City its miraculous insulating qualities. The manager reminded Trout of what the first man to set foot on the moon had said, "One small step for man, one great leap for mankind." Thrilling words, said Trout. He looked over his shoulder, perceived that they were being followed by a white Oldsmobile Torondo with a black vinyl roof. This 400-horsepower front-wheel drive vehicle was burbling along at about 3 miles an hour, 10 feet behind them, and close to the curb. This was the last thing that Trout remembered, seeing Oldsmobile back there. The next thing he knew, he was on his hands and knees on a handball court underneath the Queensboro Bridge at 59th Street, with East River nearby. His trousers were and underpants were around his ankles, his money gone, his parcels were scattered around him. The tuxedo, the new shirt, the books, blood seeped from one ear. The police caught him in the act of pulling up his trousers. They dazzled him with a spotlight, and he leaned against the blackboard of the handlebar court and fumbled foolishly with his belt and his buttons on his fly. The police supposed that they had been caught committing some public nuisance. He caught him working with an old man's limpid palette of excrement and alcohol. He wasn't quite penniless. There was a $10 bill in the watch pocket of his pants. It was determined at the hospital that Trout was not seriously hurt. He was taken to a police station where he was questioned. All he could say that he was kidnapped by pure evil in a white Oldsmobile. The police wanted to know how many people were in the car, their ages, their sexes, the colors of their skins, their manners of speech. For all I know, I may not even have been Earthling, said Trout. For all I know, that car may have been occupied by an intelligent gas from Pluto. Trout said this so innocently, but his commitment turned out to be the first germ in an epidemic of mind poisoning. Here's the disease that spread. A reporter wrote a story for the New York Post the next day, and he led off with a quotation from Trout. The story appeared under this headline. Trout's name was given as Kilmore Trotter, incidentally address unknown. His age was given as 82. Other papers copied the story, rewrote it. They all hung on to the joke about Pluto, spoke unknowingly of the Pluto gang. The reporters asked police for new information on the Pluto gang, so police went looking for information on the Pluto gang. So New Yorkers who had so many nameless terrors, were easily taught to fear something seemingly specific, the Pluto gang. They bought new locks for their doors and gratings for their windows to keep out the Pluto gang. They stopped going to theaters at night for fear of the Pluto gang. Foreign newspapers spread the terror, ran articles on how persons thinking of visiting New York might keep to a certain few streets in Manhattan and stand a fair chance of avoiding the Pluto gang. In one of New York City's main ghettos for dark-skinned people, a group of Puerto Rican boys gathered together in the basement of an abandoned building. They were small, but they were numerous and volatile. They wished to become frightening. In order to defend themselves and their friends and families, something the police wouldn't do, they also wanted to drive the drug peddlers out of the neighborhood and get enough publicity, which was very important, to catch the attention of the government, so that the government would do a better job of picking up the garbage and so on. One of them, Jose Mendoza, was a fairly good painter. He painted the emblem of their new gang on the back of the members' jackets. That's what it looked like. Well, that's all I'm going to read because I'm tired now. Well, baby, I hope they have a good night's sleep. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.